Alright, no RD. That's good. So I would probably play up through the 6th line here. You can theoretically play in this area right here on this north side in a heavy. It's usually better if you can have a heavy with a little bit more depression than this tank, but you can theoretically do that. The only thing I wouldn't do in this type of scenario is go play this 1-2 line, unless like you're in a platoon and you're going to be aggressive up through there. I don't really think that's going to be really fruitful. They don't have like a lot of tank destroyers or anything like that. But I would typically just play 6 line here to start. And you can be, you know, when there's no artillery on Prokhorovka, it really changes the way that the map plays. So you can be a lot more aggressive playing through this middle here in terms of getting your own spots and things like that. I'll show you how to play these hills over here to sort of minimize the incoming lanes, but that's generally what I would do. When there's no artillery. So you sense a couple of mediums up here, which is interesting. I don't really feel like that's a very good play. The reason why you want to be on this side, the reason why you want to be on this side of the train tracks is basically you can use the train tracks as a hull down to basically protect yourself. You can't do that on the other side. Oh, the horrid yellow house. Okay, and so just as a note, like one of the things that I'll always do as a, you know, if I know that I'm going to play the 6th line is that as I'm driving up here, I'll load up an HE shell. And the reason why is because if you shoot this yellow house is in 2 parts. There's one on the right here and there's one on the left. And so when you shoot it, you're going to shoot down. You're going to shoot down one of those parts, right? But if you shoot that HE right in the middle, it actually kills both parts of the house. And it also means that you're loaded for, you have HE. So like if one of their guys oversurfs or something like that, then you can just fire the HE shell at him instead. So I find that it's a good value to have HE loaded at the start of this game. But that's just me. That's just a thing that I do on this map in particular. And so what I was saying, this is the position that I really like on this map when there's artillery, because the reason why is, so if you watch the arc of this hill, the way this hill comes over here and then it sort of bends down right here, this little portion right here protects you from anybody that's surfing along this side right here, which is why I always sit in this area right here, because in order to get lit on this area right here, they really have to come up over the top of this side right here, which is really overextending for them. And so this is a pretty good place to sit, because it allows you to get shots back up the hill, but still be protected from the other side. But when there's no artillery, one of the things that I was saying is that one of the things that you can do is play up on this ridge a little bit more in terms of trying to figure out where their guys are, as long as you don't have shots on that other side, as long as you know whether there's not people there or whatever the case may be. I mean, you do have to be careful when you do get lit, because like you don't really know what's on the backside of that hill yet, so you kind of want to suss that out. And then so like see where this T-30 is positioned, your hill guys can shoot down at like where this E5 is kind of protected by this cart right here, or a train right here, but the T-30 like can be shot. Although your guys appear to be whittling down the E5, so that works. Oh man, 2 shells. You're 2 for 2 on shooting, but the stats won't reflect that. The stats will say 0 for 2. But like, you know, see how this T-34 the whole time, he got shot from out there. He didn't get shot from, at least as far as we can tell, he didn't get shot from up there. So you're not really as worried. Like, I think you're still fixating a little bit too much on the 0 line without actually having any evidence that they're up on the 0 line. So one of the things that you can do, again, without artillery, is you can start playing around on this side of the hill. Like this, as I was saying before, like there's this little slope right here, almost where this 121 is. As long as you can figure that there's not anybody on the hill. Now, like, why don't you want to do that right here? Why don't you just poke over right here? The problem with poking over right here is that going over on this side, there's a sort of a minimum amount of angles that can shoot at you. If you drive up over the tallest part of this hill here, then all of a sudden everybody can shoot you. And that's what you really want to minimize, getting those sort of side turret shots. So like as you pull up here, right, like these guys that are undoubtedly over here someplace can get shots on you. So like everything here says that they're not really playing the 0 line. Like your guys are whittling down that E5, so that's good. But you need to start thinking about playing up through this lane right here, because you know that they don't control that. So like the way that this map plays, you know, when there's when there's not artillery, is that if they don't push up here, then you can basically start making this into the east-west map. It's a little bit painful to push through if they've got people right here, but as you push down here, you either will get shots on them going out there, or your team will get shots as they back up. And that's better than what you're doing right now, which is basically kind of hanging out. You are 2 for 2 in house shooting, which is fantastic. So now it looks like they're starting to move up a little bit. So now you might actually have a little bit of something to do. And then, so you need to be careful about how you back up here, because you don't want to back up too much. There's usually not a whole lot of reason for you to face your armor towards these guys. So you can technically get if you go, especially with no artillery, you can actually go up a little bit more. There we go. And you can get a shot on that. Because this 4502B is a relatively tall tank, you can get a shot over here before he crosses through, but you can definitely get a shot on him right after he crosses through. I would definitely have taken that. This position is not very strong. This position is really hard countered by that right there, unless your team is already actively pushing. You're not going to get that shot. Like there is no shot there, just so you know. There's no shot on that side of the house. Maybe if they were in like the Waffentrager, or like a really tall tank, you can get a shot there, but no, not really. And then so now see where this T-34's position is high. Now that's going to be right. He got shot by that 4502B that's over there, right? That position is vulnerable. But he's one of those players, right, where because they never moved up earlier, he was like, oh, this position's great, right? He doesn't understand the action and reaction of, oh, look, they're pushing up that 0 line. Now where I'm at is no longer going to be sufficient. And then here's the one shot that you have through there. But yeah, I wouldn't have even bothered taking that shot. I wouldn't bother taking that shot. So, like, again, you're trying to crown that 4502B. You could have just taken that shot at the mount. What's it, the mount? The VK. The 1000 one instead. And so like one of the things that I'll do is I'll look down this, you see how there's on the right side to see what's lit. And this is what's useful about XVM, is that it'll tell you which guys have been spotted already. So like, you know who's not spotted, right? The 30B is not spotted, the WZ-120 is not spotted, one of the 4502As, and the Roomba. The Roomba is probably over here. The fact that you haven't seen the 30B means that he's probably like either back here someplace or back here, like someplace that's not totally relevant. What this kind of suggests, so like if this was an organized game and I saw this kind of dispersion, I would probably call a one-line push. Like we would shift some guys over and push up the one line, because that's probably where they're weakest, given, you know, what you've seen so far. And then the other thing that you always want to do is you always want to figure out where are you actually going to get spots, because you're spending a lot of this game kind of hanging out, and that's a bit of a problem. Like you need to be more probing in terms of figuring out what's over here, because you really don't have any intel on that. See how this 140 is moving forward here? Like as he moves forward to this rock, that actually becomes a rather vulnerable position. So what you want to do is you want to shift over here so that you're out of draw from the guys on the hill, and you can actually shoot the 140. If he sits at that rock, he pulled back just now. And so again, the problem with the way that you're playing this right now, or not necessarily the way that you're playing it right now, the problem that you've had with playing it to this point is that you've sat around doing nothing for too long. And like whenever you go through these large stretches of time where you're, that's good. Whenever you go through these large stretches of time when you're not doing anything, you always want to be thinking, oh, how do I change that? And again, you can get shots on this Luva by coming up over here, and you can basically shoot him as a hull down, right? So turn your tank so that it's facing towards this hill, come up over here. Basically the front of your tank will touch this hill, and you can get shots down on that guy and still be relatively safe from these guys. Oh, he graciously turned his side turret for you. And again, see how they're sitting far back there? Like if they're sitting back there, there's not going to be a whole lot that you can do from this position. It's only when they move forward that you actually have a shot. So you always want to keep that in mind. And so once they move back, again, like I said, you need to start probing that other side and trying to figure out what you can do over there. Like for some reason, the Skoda T50 thinks that house is destructible, but that house is not destructible. course their Scorpion YOLO does the break. And then so again, it's like you've got there's too many cooks in the kitchen. How's the saying go? You got too many guys on this 6 line sitting up here trying to shoot at too few guys actually trying to go up their hill. So it looks like you're gonna cross here, which I don't think is necessarily bad. Definitely repair that and definitely get over. And then so in a heavy tank, what you can do is you can come to where like these mediums were in terms of playing around through this back here. Again, you have to remember that Roomba wasn't spotted, although I assume that he's on the other side. And the 30B wasn't spotted. I assume that he was on the island. Oh, look at that. And then, so whenever you're next to a dead tank like this, you should always be thinking, like, this is the problem that I notice with a lot of people, and again, it's something that you sort of have to train yourself to do. It's this idea of that understand what you're afraid of, like you backed up here away from the IS-3 because you were afraid of the IS-3, despite the fact that you really shouldn't have been afraid of the IS-3. And the problem with that is that you basically backed yourself up into an area where now you can get shot by these guys over here, right? If you're sitting next to this guy's wreck, then this guy's wreck protects you from that. But as you back up, then you sort of make yourself vulnerable. They decided to not make you pay, so there is that. Lol. He shouldn't have put his face in the way. You do need to try to clear out through that side. Not necessarily you personally, but you need to basically start moving up here. And one of the ways that I find best to do that is to actually come down this 7 line here. So pushing out laterally here allows these guys over here to be relevant. If you push down this 7 line, the only guys that can shoot back at you is this guy right here. And that's not going to be that relevant. Lol. Snapshot, best shot. You never hit any shots that you don't take. You gotta stop knocking over your own buildings, though. And then again, that's why if you're gonna push, like, so let's say these guys were still alive over here. If you're gonna push this side, you never want to push through this line. You always want to come down underneath over here. There's basically a row of trees and bushes right here that you can get all the way up over here, and then you can start pushing over here. And then if they're too far up, they won't spot you until you get through right here. If they're far back, they can spot you, but you can also shoot them. So. This is not a solid play by the Roomba. Okay, they are sort of pushing through, pressuring through that back. You don't really need to worry about that much. Again, this STRV, these guys up on this hill can theoretically get that down. The problem, again, as I said, is pushing across here is that it makes these guys relevant. So, like, if I were you, I would still go back, and I would come back down this side. Because now, like, you know, presuming the 30B is on the island, I think that's where he is, then you're going to get shot by him. Or he's, you know, back here. He's somewhere in the back on this side, would be my impression. He's not going to be up, he's going to be down. Like, oh, there he is. Look at that view range. Okay, and that's good. Now you can go ahead and come back and then come all the way up through here again. Again, as I was saying earlier, I don't really feel like that was necessary to suss that guy out, and I felt like you could have just driven down here and ignored that guy. So what you want to do is you want to be able to clear through this side as much as you possibly can. It's just you against a 4502A. I would ignore these guys right here. Oh, the 30B has made a grand entrance. I would still ignore that guy. Like, you're not going to be able to save that. Sure, take your shot of damage, but you want, so again, like, if this was something where you felt you could save that guy, sure, absolutely. But you cannot save that guy. There is nothing that you can do to save this guy. Even if every single shot that you took was an ammo rack, that would not save this guy. Even if every shot that you took killed 2 tanks. Well, okay. No. Even if every single shot that you took killed 2 tanks, that guy would still die. So what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you have map control. You don't want to allow this guy to sit back here where he can shoot up at your guys on the hill, where he can shoot at you. Like, go clear this out, make this into an east-west game. Yeah, this is not good. And especially since they put both 8s on this side, you could clear that out really easily. Just be aggressive. Especially against lower tier tanks and tanks that, you know, are a little bit suspect in terms of their ability to damage you. Just go ahead and bully them. Like this, I don't feel like hanging out here is a good play. Whenever you sit around and allow the enemy to consume more and more map, when you allow them to have more and more areas where they can go for free, that is bad. That is always bad. Push him. Push him. Push him. Make him afraid of you. Push him. There's no reason for you to be a sniping heavy here. You need to clear all of this out before they're already through here. Just push him. There's no reason why this guy should not be trembling from you. The Luva is gonna appear over on this side as well. You could have waited for that to aim in. So you do need to secure this area. Again, don't give up the map control. Don't give up the map control. You want the map control. Map control is incredibly important to the outcome of the game because it allows you to put the enemy in a bad position. You never want to allow the enemy to put you in a bad position. So now you're basically just hoping that the Luva didn't go and secure that area of the map, which I'm 90% sure that he did. Or he's just hiding in the back. And again, so this guy died over here, so I would actually come back down over here at this point. Because you're not going to be able to outspot him. So you need to prevent him from getting up to the hill where he can kill everybody. And so when you're in situations like this, you never want to be in a position where you can only watch one lane. So like what I would do is I would position myself over here so I could watch this side and anybody coming through the middle. Oh, he's already up. The 140 is still going to be down there as well. So you need to get out of your position because you're already too late. So you need to just go ahead and back out. Back all the way out to the north. The Luva will start shooting you in the butt. There's nothing you can do about that. Just keep back it out. There's nothing that you can do from the position that you're in. There's zero. Back it out. No. Not forward. Backwards. Backwards. Back it out. Just go ahead and back it out. See how this guy's getting on your flank? Back it out, my man. You don't want to stay there. Again, you've given up so much map control that you cannot stay in that position. Back it out. The Luva will start shooting you in the butt, but you don't really have any choice. Just back it out. Just keep backing it out. Okay, you can actually counter push the 30B or the Luva. It'll be either or. But you got to counter push one of them. That guy doesn't seem really interested in pushing over. Just turn around now and leave. Right, you can either push across right there, or you can push across through the back there. What you don't want to do is sit where you're at. Like this was a major theme here, is that you're just far too passive. Now, there's always this idea that, oh, I'm down in tanks, so I should camp more. No. When you're down in tanks, when the enemy outnumbers you, you want to be moving so they can't constantly be getting on your flanks, so they can't be constantly getting to your side, so they're not constantly owning you like that. Especially in reasonably fast heavies like this. So go ahead and push away. Just push away. Just get out. Just get out. Just leave. And then try to cross over the tracks here. That's really the only chance that you have. But yeah, so it's a common misconception that you should move less when you have less tanks. No, 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 no. Especially if you're in a fast tank. Like if you're in a slow tank, well, you don't really have much choice. But if you're in a fast tank, no, you should be moving more. You should constantly be shifting away from the pressure that the enemy is trying to put on you. You need to drive over the track and get towards the cap. Like, you're completely ignoring that. And again, I'm not entirely sure why. Again, if you could have saved that guy, then sure, maybe. But this is I'm not interested in trying to win the game. This is just a really passive game. Yeah, you probably could have won this game. So again, playing through that middle was fine, but again, whenever you're spending minutes with nothing to shoot at, with nothing to do, nothing, do something. I don't care if it's just peeking up just to see if you get lit, right? Just stick your turret over it. Just see if you get lit, just so you know, right? So you need to be more active in doing things rather than just sitting and waiting. Now, once they move up here, okay, I'm with you. You're like, okay, I want to be ready to get a shot. But you knew that they weren't there. And you were still just sitting there waiting. And that's, I see this happen with artillery a lot, where artillery will sit there, they're sitting there looking at this spot right here. They're sitting there looking at this spot right here, just focusing in on it. I know there's going to be a tank right here. But you don't have any tanks anywhere near where to spot right here. So why are you aiming right here? That's the way that I feel about a lot of the way that people play these types of things. If you're not going to get lights, or if the enemy's not there, then don't wait for the enemy. Just go and do something else. Like, you can stay in that area so that once the enemy does show up, okay, well, all right, now we'll just move over and do something about it. But otherwise, you know, it's more important to try to find ways to make yourself useful. And again, if there was artillery there, then okay, yeah, you don't necessarily want to be poking up here just to get lit, right? But there's not. That's not the case. And like I said, maps like Prokhorovka play very differently when there's no artillery. And you played this basically too passively. Like, you probably should have been able to win this. And again, there's a lot of things about playing this map where there's areas, like particularly when things, a lot of times on Prokhorovka specifically, is that it starts out as a north-south map, and a lot of times it shifts to an east-west map. And when it shifts to an east-west map, you'll find that people are utterly confused. They don't understand. They're like, wait, what? They own the west and we own the east? How does, what? Huh? What? And that's just, you need to learn to not play just the positions that you always play when this map. But once it goes east-west, okay, well, how do I play this train track here, right? It's about playing the terrain and understanding how to clear and how to claim map control, particularly when you're in a heavy, right? You should be able to bully a lot of these guys that were out here. They were really weak on this side once this hill, well, I mean, even before the hill went down. I mean, their hill guys did nothing. Like, basically all of the work that was done by their team was done pretty much on the other side of the map, right? And that was by a bunch of campers as well, because your guys were all in the back of this side. So again, I don't know, I felt like you were just way too passive. There's just way too much sitting around and waiting, and I just, that boggles my mind, particularly in a fast heavy like this. I mean, this is a really arguably this is the second best heavy in the tier, and I don't know, you just played it like it was a Tiger 2. All right, so if we look at the stats, shooting was okay. Again, this is not a very good sniping tank, so got a little bit lucky there at the beginning, and then your luck ran out at the end. But overall, not bad. GG, nice try. Again, I hope that didn't come off as overly critical, but there was just so many opportunities where you in a really good heavy, I felt like could have made the difference by doing something, and you chose to do nothing. All right, and we'll look at Cinciosky's Action X. A T-32 would have been awesome on that Prokhorovka with no artillery. You should have been. It would have been able to just wreck face. A T-32 would be a good tank to put on that zero line from the south with no artillery. Yeah, I'm guessing he had optics on that tank because he had full view range. Yeah, no, optics are really important in pub battles, in my opinion. Alrighty, so roughly similar comps. So I always play up through this mid and slower mediums, play through this midtown because it affords you a lot of shots on the back line for free, which is always what you're looking to maximize. Pretty much the same amount of heavy, so you got to see where your team goes. Hopefully you guys don't dedicate too many of these faster tanks to the K-line. I say as all of those tanks go in the K-line. But that's why the baddies be bad. They will go to that K-line and fail consistently, and they will still continue to go to that K-line. So I don't really feel like if you spawn up here, then you can go and take a peek to light, but barring that, I don't feel like playing through this side is going to be super productive. I always find it best because this is a largely ignored portion of the map, and that allows you to get shots on their tank destroyers in the back. So that's something that you need to be aware of. So you got a bunch of guys on the K line there, which is not going to be super great. Looks like you're pushing up here. Then this is really the path of pain, unfortunately, because in order to see what's back there, you have to really overexpose yourself.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Well, I would have stayed up there to try to get the FE-183 down. Like, you're probably going to get shot from right there, but it might be worth it to get him down.
We've damaged them.
Yeah, maybe they didn't put anybody on that back line. Alright, but that's fine. You could still start shifting down here, because you're not going to get a lot of shots on those guys sitting in that back line right there, but like, if you shifted south of this T10, you get shots into that T10. That's not a good shot. At that point, you just want to let the arty take him down, rather than risk him getting a snapshot off on you. Like, and you're sitting in one area for too long in an arty game. He's got a gig.
That one didn't go through.
Again, don't risk that. Like, I don't really feel like that's super necessary. And again, you're in an area where you can get arty. You're better off shooting this OHO.
Enemy armor is hit.
But yeah, that was a good shot. I'll give you that. I'm kind of surprised that nobody's really shot you from either side. I mean, they're largely ignoring you here, like including an arty. So that's good, especially since your guys are actually doing okay over on that side. So I'm sorry I disparaged you guys. But arty has decided that he doesn't want to shoot you, so that is good. And at this point, again, like a lot of times, like you can see that this guy's probably gonna die. Like if you thought there was a chance that he wouldn't, then that's one thing. But like you can, rather than try to farm that little bit of damage off that OHO, you can help these guys start getting this T10 down, because you do have a lane to shoot down at that T10 through here. Again, I feel like that's something where you can come around on this flank on him and get shots on him here, which makes it much easier for these guys to get their shots. And again, you always want to try to be facilitating as much as possible. This is not going to be a good shot on this mouse. Again, once he turns his turret towards you, you can shoot towards the flat part of the turret face, but that's still not a good shot. Your better shot is to, again, be a little bit more mobile and actually attack into these guys. That's not a good shot. Not a good shot.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
Oh, and they're starting to come through. Again, and then so what you're doing is you're cutting down your angles here by going to the same position that everyone else is. What you need to be doing is coming around this outside to expand your angles. Just go and push that guy. Again, there's so many cases here where you should be able to just own people, but you've basically moved into this area and you have not moved out of it for the entire game. And that's a pretty significant problem. Especially when you see ISOs like that where you can bully, just go ahead and bully. There's no reason why that guy should be allowed to live. He ran away now. So now you can't do anything about it. So now you need to come back and worry about this 4190. Your artillery was not smart enough to leave, but that will happen a lot. I wouldn't worry about it. And then what you want to do is actually fight this guy from pretty far away. I would just go ahead and move. Just move and get your shot. No, move and get your shot. Just move and get your shot. Okay, and then now move up towards this line right here.
Enemy armor is hit.
What you don't want to do is sit out here, because they're going to start getting shots from you from back there. So that's fine. So you can leave him back there, or if he wants to die, then that works too. And that was worth. And again, so this guy's going to be in that area right here. So you actually want to move laterally this way, because this thing will cover you here. Your guys are sort of sniping from the back, which is not a super good sign. Again, that's why you want to kind of own this area right here, because then these guys don't get to leave, but you guys had 0 encapsulate, and that's a pretty significant problem. So you're going back here, which is not a really good position in terms of where the teams are right now. Like, you'd be better off helping out. See how your E5 is going down there? He's going down there way late because he's not a very good player. But that's the better position for you guys to have played, right? And then what this E5 needs to do is cut through here, where he's basically protected by these buildings from getting shot from out here, and start working on that mouse. Like, this is like, you have no good shots on this mouse.
We didn't penetrate their armor.
That's a good one.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
And then, so again, this is one of those things where everybody's in a line. And especially when you're in a medium tank, what you want to do is you want to be out on a flank. So like, what I would do is I would get around over here. But everybody likes fighting people fairly. I don't find. Oh, this is a good shot.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Unfortunately, it was also a low roll. But, and then you don't want to. You're sitting here a lot. Like, you're just basically sitting there begging Artie to shoot at you. You are moving laterally now, which is good, but it might be a little bit too late. Let's find out. Like, these guys are still going to be back on this line right here. This Artie's going to be vulnerable, but you're not really looking to push into Artie. A lot of what you're doing is looking to get to a flank.
Enemy is hit.
So Artie did fire. Keep it going. And then what you want to do is you actually want to be all the way around on this outside right over here. Oh, as he cuts into the middle. So the reason why you want to avoid being over here is that this doesn't really help you spot in the guy that, if he's back there. And that's what you need to do. So these guys are not going to spot for you. The T95 is not going to spot for you. The 704 is not going to spot for you. It is unlikely that you're going to be able to spot, you know, like the waffle that's sitting back here. And so that's why I was going to say, that if you come over here, you can at least see if the Artie's right here, because maybe he's in a vulnerable position and you could take him out. But like this, like hanging out, hanging out is not a good plan, because that 704 is going to die, and this T95 will eventually get Artie. Oh, look, there he is. And again, that is something that you could have spotted from over here. And you don't want to shoot him from where you shot him. So in this particular case, you want to just come around back over here and shoot him, because otherwise that waffle can shoot you. And so now you're looking better, because now you've got only indirect fire. These guys are going to come around on the flank on the 704. This T95 is moving laterally, which is not good for him, but to each his own. The 704 is not really seeing anybody, so things can move up on him without him knowing. And so you're still playing behind your tank destroyers, which I don't feel is a very good play, since they're basically blind. Not that either of them are in super fantastic positions, but you're not really in a position to either support or help or spot for them. And so if you do come through this side, you actually want to play through over in this area right here. You don't want to play through on this side. So now this is a good play, because now you can potentially spot them if they actually move forward, which maybe they will, maybe they won't. And you basically just fall back. And so you don't want to climb up here, because this is a big plateau, and if you get lit there, you'll be spotted for a long time. You actually want to come through on this side over here. Like, you need to be a little bit more aggressive in trying to get yourself lit here. And what you do not want to do is come down here. You do not want to play through this low ground. That is incredibly bad, because at any point over here, all of these guys will get to shoot you. You want to spot them from this side. Short, if you can't spot them on this side, you want to go into here and then come up underneath. You do not want to come around the outside. It is a very good way to get yourself shot. And again, how do I know? Because you see me play this map all the time. I go right here at the start of the map. Well, this will be pretty easy. So it's unlikely that you're lit, so just turn around and go back. Oh, okay, you did get lit. But you can still turn around and go back. You don't need to crest up here. And then you don't want to be close. Again, you want to be a little bit further away, because you don't really have any support here. I don't feel like this is a good play. And again, because he can be just hiding back there, and there's not a whole lot that you can do about it. You can't really get shots on this T26E4 from right here without overexposing yourself. You'll see a lot of players play in this area, especially in the early game. It is not a very good place to play. He's right here. Most likely, he's right here. And so you basically pinned yourself, and that's sort of a bit of a problem. Either you're still lit, or maybe he's not coking at that moment. And again, this is not a good play. Oh, there he is. Oh, and the waffle. Oh. And the problem is that what is it exactly that you're gaining here? Like, what position are you gaining that's making this worth it, right? Did they take any damage at all? Did your team have any opportunity to shoot them? Are you in any better position to punish them? The answer to all of these questions is no. And then now this guy can just push you, which, to his credit, looks like he's doing. And you want to try to keep him out there if you can. So, ooh, you got helped. Look at that shot from that 704. Just barely cleared that hill. So you want to try to keep him out here. So you want to drive out. Unfortunately, you're still not really in a very good position. Simply because the waffle can shoot you. And again, you're in this position because you drove yourself into this position. That's sort of the problem. And again, the easier thing would have been to take this guy out down here and then work down.
Critical hit.
And again, so what you wanted is you want to back away.
Enemy hit.
Well, That hash, you don't shoot hash into tracks.
Enemy armor is hit.
I'm not sure why you think this is a good trade. Oh.
Enemy is hit.
You wouldn't have been able to kill him even with the APCR, but
We done for. Everyone get
I didn't really feel like there was much need to load the hash there. Well, they killed the waffle at least. Yeah. Felt like you would have been better off just killing this T-26E4. I don't think that he was... Oh, he got him. Oh, so see, if you didn't shoot Hesh at the leopard, he would have died there. Oh well. Yeah. So again, you sat here. I felt like it was far too long, particularly once those guys were dead over there. Like I didn't really feel like it was worth it for you to deal with the Oho. It would have been better off for you to secure this midtown, prevent these guys from backing out, get shots there that would have created better shots for your mouse and T10 that were over here. I think it was a E5 in it. No, it was a Moushin in the T10, I think they were over here, right? Create better shots for them by basically pressuring these guys and preventing them from backing out. Them being able to back out was a huge problem. And that's a large part of what you're trying to do in these medium tanks is not fight everybody frontally, right? It's not about getting into all these face fights with people. A lot of times, actually I would argue most of the times with medium tanks, you're looking to prevent people from doing things, right? You're looking to lock them into areas by basically, you could have come over into this area right here, been protected from many shots from out here, and then these guys all of a sudden they can't back out, right? They have to stay there because if they back out, you're just going to get shots into them, right? And that's what you're looking to create, those compromising situations where the enemy has no choice. The enemy can stay there and die, or the enemy can back up and die, right? So you want to create those types of scenarios rather than put everybody on the same side and then allow the enemy to back out. And that's sort of a pretty significant problem. And then again, once you're low, I mean, I agree you should have spotted for those guys, but I don't agree that pushing up through here was always going to be a limiting thing because eventually you were just going to run into them and pin yourself in, which is why it's always better to get up underneath them. So once you spotted that T-26E4, it would have been better, in my opinion, to drop spot, come back here, and try to fight with him from a distance, right, where his friends can't really help because you're in a tier 10 tank and he's in a tier 8 tank and you should be able to smoke him. But ultimately what he did, and again, it wasn't like he was a super pro player either, what he did was like, oh, here's a W key, I'm just gonna press my W key, and he just basically drove over here while you were up in this area right here. He just kept hitting his W, like, and if you prevented that guy from moving through, then maybe you would have had a little bit better of a chance, but because you could have come down through this sort of underneath area here. But oh well. All right, so if we look at stats, man, that T95 ended up doing 4K. That's not bad. It's not really a T95 type of map. That T95 could have played through that mid city as well. I don't think the 704 was very good with the shooting. 4 of 11 is not very good. Especially that one shot that he hit on the PTA was the only shot that he hit over 300 meters, which is bad for a player who's basically playing the entire game from over 300 meters. But them's the breaks. GG, nice try.